Hello everyone, welcome to the third episode of Perspective. Today we have with us a veteran of behavioral finance. He is none other than Mr. Parekh. He holds he holds a master's degree in management studies in finance from Narsi Munji Institute of Management Studies. And not only that, he holds a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering too from Bharati Vidyapeeth Pune. He has over two decades of experience in finance and asset management and is the best for behavioral finance as everyone looks up to him. Welcome, Mr. Parekh. It's an honor to be with you today.
Thank you. Thank you, the team at Trust Capital and both of you once again with us for inviting me and DSP to talk. I hope I'm audible. Please correct me if not.
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yes.
Good evening, friends, and thank you for tuning into the third episode of Perspective. And this is a very special session today, which we are doing with Mr. Kalpen Parekh of DSP. Today, we won't be discussing markets or strategies. What we plan to do today is to learn the right behavior required to become a good investor. Emotions play a very important role in our investment decisions, and we end up choosing wrong products and wrong asset classes at times. So over the next 45 minutes, what we will try to do is to understand from Kalpen sir, what can be done to control wrong investment decisions. And let me tell you something very important about Kalpen. I have known Kalpen for almost 10 years now, and I have not seen anyone who researching more and communicating more on behavioral aspect of investing better than him. Thank you, Kalpen sir, for spending this afternoon with us.
Thank you.
So, sir, maybe we can start 5-7 minutes where you spend us explaining on behavioral side of investing.
So, it's a very fashionable word. I can sound and, feel more like an expert if you introduce me saying that I am an expert on behavioral finance. To be honest, I am not an expert. I am just an observer of, what role does individual attitude and approach to investing, what role does that play in the final result of making money? And I will quote to you something I learned 10 years back. I have worked in many different organizations with a wide variety of stalwarts in the money business. And around, I think in 2007 or 8, I was asking one of the senior portfolio managers that what is the return that I will make? How good is the fund that I am going to invest in? And the answer that he gave me was a very big awakening from me. He said that what return you make is going to be less dependent on the market, on the underlying asset class, on the fund manager who's going to manage that money. It will be a function of how you are as an investor. And before asking how good is the fund in which you are going to invest, ask the question, how good are you as an investor to deserve the returns that markets generally give over long periods of time? And that was a very deeply insightful observation or comment he made, which made me start thinking that many times we externalize our investment outcomes. So if we make good returns, it is expected. If we don't make good returns, it is externalized. The externalization means, what I mean by that is we look for a lot of external variables. What will the fund manager do, the product do, the market do, the government do, or the Reserve Bank do, or the Fed do? Those are the things we give a lot of importance to, and less importance to what will he do in our investment journey. One of the best investment advisory coach, his name is Nick Murray, and he's based in the United States. He actually has done seminal work on how attitudes of human beings plays a role in our investment results. He says that, most people debate about whether Trump will come back to power or not. Most people debate about what will happen to the US and China trade war. This is in context to the American, investor base. And he says that 20 years from now, when you want to, you have grown old, or 30 years from now, when you have grown old, you will need to, fend for yourself, your retirement, your medical expenses. You go to a dentist and the dental expenses are very high. On that day, look back 30 years and ask that question that, what China is doing, will it matter or not? Whether Trump is in power or not, will it matter or not? So whenever you are getting lost in a lot of esoteric and intelligent conversations, the question to ask is it relevant for my wealth and my portfolio at the day when I will need the money? So what is happening today has a lot of relevance to what will happen in our investing asset classes in the next 3 months or 6 months or 1 year or even next 3 to 5 years. But what is happening today will have very less relevance in the outcome of our money, which is more back-ended, more in the future, because that long future no one knows. So important to look at investing like yoga. What does yoga teach us? That all you need is a 2x6 mat, and all you need is control over your breath and your mind. So it's all about how do you operate, and it's less about the environment, and we can keep externalizing it. So I think that was a beautiful learning I got. And over time, I have tried to see that the best money managers who have succeeded over time are the ones who have control over their discipline, over their attitude, over their behavior. So let me explain this in a number format. Over the last 20 years, returns of equity as an asset class has been around, let's say, 12% per annum. But if we plot returns of investors who have invested in that asset class, it will be half of that. Because first, most people don't invest for 20 years. Two, most people don't invest for the full cycle. They are always in a half cycle, right? And more often in the wrong half of the cycle. And hence, the true returns of the asset class are always on the Excel sheet, never in the account statement. They are always there in our fact sheet. So I feel very proud that the oldest fund in DSP is 24 years old, and the oldest fund in DSP has in 24 years around 20% CAGR track record. 20% CAGR over 24 years is huge. But over 24 years, less than 24 investors have stayed put. That's the irony. So we are a fund house with 24 lakh investors. In that fund, we have roughly 1 lakh investors, but there are only 24 investors who have captured the whole cycle. So is the fund good? Yes. Is the fund investing in great stocks? Absolutely yes. Has it delivered great returns? Absolutely yes. Has it stood the test of time? The answer is yes. Have my investors remained there for 24 years? The answer is no. Only 24 investors have. And we actually did a survey with these 24 guys. We called them up. आप क्यों बाकी लोगों से अलग बिहेव कर रहे हो? बाकी लोग तो छोड़ के चले गए, आप क्यों इसमें फंसे हो? तो some of them said हमको पता भी नहीं था कि हमारा पैसा इसमें है, तब 5,000 डाल के छोड़ दिया था. Some of them said we are long term investors, पैसे की जरूरत नहीं है. But I think so that's where I'm trying to say that in investing, while I do not undermine the role of the environment, the fund manager, the team, the process, they are of course very important, and that's the reason we exist. Because the day we say we are not important, our reason to exist, my reason for salary will go away. So they have importance, but there is more importance to discipline, temperament, behavior, and attitude towards money. And that is what, truly speaking, the whole concept of behavioral investing is all about.
Great. That's a wonderful insight. So if I can take it forward from there on, sir. So my first question to you was on this similar lines only, and I think you have somewhere addressed it. That if we see last 30 years of a market, Sensex has gone up almost 30 times. From 100 to 30,000 kind of a journey has already been achieved. But if you look at investors per se, none of the investors have made that kind of a money which market have actually made. So why investors don't make similar returns which markets make?
Okay. So partly my first question answered that is our own attitude towards, how we invest. Partly it is ignorance of what is the DNA of the market. And partly it is also the best community, whether like you and me, the way we communicate to our investors. So, let's say we try to at times one side of the picture. So, more often the communication to investors always is that, in the last 35 years, markets have won 16% return. Even I started doing the same thing, right? When I spoke about my product. We say that Sensex was 100 and now it is whatever 36,000 जो आपने बताया है. मैं भी ये बोलता हूँ काफी लोगों को. लेकिन क्या होता है कि market has two sides of the coin. In this journey of 360 times, over so many years, every 5 years there is a 30% fall. Every 10 years there is a 60% fall. Every 2 years there is a 15-20% fall. Now when we use the word 15% CAGR, it means, the consumer thinks that it's going to be 15% every year. My 100 will become 115, 130, 145, which is not true. So one big learning I have, and which is what I at DSP we try to is we have learned one thing, that if you want to risk, because in investing things do go wrong. In investing in the long run, like a Hindi movie, hero the movie, there are phases when the hero is being beaten up, when the villain is doing an upper hand. So wrong phases don't get what we expect. We don't get what we had visualized on the first signing check. So if we are able to understand that as investors, that the question to always ask, and one big learning I have is I always start by asking, before I make my investment, I start by asking that if things go wrong, am I wired to accept what will go wrong? Can I live through that phase of just 1 second, Vikas. We have to the hospital. Just take a message later. Sorry. So, asking, let us learn from one of the oldest and the wisest and the richest investor on earth. His name is Charlie Munger. He's Warren Buffett's less known partner. He says that before investing, the only question I ask for that investment proposal is, tell me where will I go wrong so I do not go there. Tell me where will I die so I do not go there. What he means by that is that if I know where am I going to die, and if I don't ever go there, I can be assured of immortality. The same way you can, make your investment portfolios more robust. So my limited point is for investors to, truly appreciate the upside of the market. It is important that they are aware of the downside of the market also. There are long stretches when markets don't make money. Like today, the last 3 years, 5 years returns have been, very, very mediocre. In fact, when we show to investors the benefits of investing in our equity fund, we first show that what's your time horizon? So someone will say 1 year. So we say in 1 year, you could have lost 65% return because the worst return of this fund in 1 year was so much because markets had fallen. Someone says my horizon is 7 years. So then we said that, okay, in 7 years, the worst return of this strategy was plus 2%. Are you comfortable with that? Of course. Just 1 second. There's a call from the hospital. Just 1 minute. We have no issue. Just talking about. Sorry, I was getting a call from the hospital. Sorry for that. So I think summarize, be aware of the risk. The character of markets is fluctuations, volatility. The moment we acknowledge volatility, then we will know how to deal with it, and then we can convert that as a friend to us. Then volatility will start working for us. 99% investors don't make money because they assume markets are linear and we have a birthright to get that linear return. Markets are not linear. They will punish us at times. They will, prevail over us. They will frustrate us at times. And those who can live through that, those who have the formula to overcome those frustrating phases, are that 1% who are eventually successful. So I think it's about knowing the animal. If you know what is the nature of the animal, you can ride it very well. But if you don't know the nature of the animal and you still try to ride it, it will fail.
Fair point. So just in continuation to that, it's more to do with the habit of investors. So if I could ask you, what are the good habits that investor can endure to become better investor and get similar returns, which market has actually offered. We may not have been able to achieve it, but at least market has offered it. So maybe if we can change our habits and learn new things, maybe the journey of next 30 years could be different.
Sure. So I think first thing is to record. As investors, record that when you made an investment decision, what was your reason to invest? What was your hypothesis to invest? And when you exited that investment decision, record that also. Record the returns you made, record the losses you made, and then reflect over time that was your investment decision right or wrong? Was your entry right? Was your exit right? So one is record keeping. I'll give you a very interesting, ironical point. I have seen, and I do this hot exercise with everyone, with a lot of friends and peers and colleagues and people in the industry. I tell everyone कि आप कितने साल से invest कर रहे हो? कोई बोलेगा 3 साल, कोई 5, कोई 10, कोई 15, कोई 20. Then I ask the next question, do you know what is your portfolio return? 99.999% people do not know what is their actual portfolio return. Then let's say the next question is, okay, you are earning your salaries or cash flows or money from your business every month, and you want to make the next investment decision. पहला सवाल आप क्या पूछते हो? पहला सवाल होता है कितना रिटर्न मिलेगा. So आयरनी क्या है? पैसा लगाने के पहले हम पूछते हैं कितना टका मिलेगा. लगाने के बाद हमको पता भी नहीं होता कितना मिला है. तो लगाने के बाद मेजरमेंट कम होता है, लगाने के पहले मेजरमेंट बहुत ज्यादा होता है. So one is to record what is our performance as an investor because of our behavior. Number one. Number two, what are the mistakes? So then you can learn what are the mistakes you have made. If you know, and this needs very honest reflection. If you can honestly reflect that, okay, these were the 10 steps I took. Of these were 5 good steps. These were 2 steps which didn't matter, and these were 3 bad steps. If you know what were your bad steps, put a minus sign against it. Uska ulta kar do. It's very simple. You know that, okay, what were my behavior as a poor investor? And once you invert that, automatically you'll solve for it. Now, I'll tell you my own example. Till 2008 and 9, my approach to investing was to rotate money fast, to put money in my fund today, and then after 10 days or 1 month or 3 months or 1 year, you see, okay, अभी मेरा ये fund अच्छा कर रहा है, चाहे उसे यहाँ से निकाल के इसमें डाल दो, यहाँ से निकाल के इसमें डाल दो. So you keep rotating, and then over time you realize that the net return is less than your savings account also. So in a very simple way, when I look back at my own journey and my own mistakes, let me not comment on others' mistakes. The first thing is to look inside. What were my mistakes? My mistakes were being highly impatient. That was my first mistake. So how do I solve for it? Patience. My second mistake was hyperactivity. How do you solve for it? By becoming still. Stillness is a huge virtue in investing. वो बोलते हैं कि साबुन को अगर आप 10 लोगों के हाथ में भेजोगे तो बिना उसका यूज हुए अपने आप पतला हो जाएगा. So activity is, harmful to returns. So I have now started documenting that I put an artificial restriction over myself that मैं साल में एक ही बार activity करूँगा. And वो भी अगर जरूरत है तो only if there is a need to change my asset allocation or add new stocks or exit some funds. So one is patience, 2 is less activity. Third, don't look for past high returns. Look for past low returns. It's a completely ulta answer that I'm giving. Most of us like to look at कौन से फंड का पिछले 5 साल का रिटर्न बहुत अच्छा है, कौन से फंड का पिछले 1 साल का रिटर्न बहुत अच्छा है. I feel very nervous if something in my portfolio is sitting on very high returns, because I know in life that born to a middle class family, I am not born rich, so I am not going to be rich by luck. I have to behave differently to be rich. So when everyone looks for high returns and you also look for the same, unlikely that high returns will come to you. So you have to say, because now why is that important? Because returns fluctuate. Returns are not secular. In markets, while the long-term average returns are 12 and 14%, but there are times you make 30% returns and there are times you make minus 30. So when you are at minus 10, minus 5, minus 20 is when your future returns are likely to be better and vice versa. So I look for reasonably, underperforming products in the recent times because they will eventually do well. So be patient. Reduce unnecessary churn, buy what is cheap. In a very crude way, again, Warren Buffett's teacher has said that you should invest in stocks the way you would buy groceries, not the way you would buy perfumes and jewelry. When we buy perfumes and jewelry, we don't mind overpaying. We don't negotiate. We think कि premium दे सकते हैं. When we go to the small market, जहाँ पे 100-200 रुपए की सब्जी खरीदनी होती है, तो उस गरीब वेजिटेबल वेंडर से भी हम 10-20 रुपए के लिए नेगोशिएट कर लेते हैं. सो स्टॉक्स और इन्वेस्टमेंट में नेगोशिएशन करना बहुत जरूरी है. The way we do it with our grocers and not the way we do it with perfume. So buy cheap. So summarizing all this, there is a 8-word thumb rule. Buy good companies. You can replace companies with stocks or asset class or mutual fund or schemes. So buy good companies or buy good funds at good prices, which means don't overpay and then do nothing. If you have been able to do the first two, the third thing is do nothing for long periods of time. Only do something when prices become very irrational, when they rise too fast, when they rise to a level where they are not justified. For example, if this iPad on which I'm talking to you is worth 26,000 rupees, if it starts getting quoted at 52,000 rupees and 78,000 rupees for no reason, then don't go and buy it. Buy it at a fair price. So these are a few thumb rules that you follow to avoid mistakes and to be good investors.
In fact, that brings me to one of your tweets, which you had written maybe a month or two back, where you had written something like, be lazy after investing and not before.
Yeah.
So that speaks a lot about what you're trying to explain to us. It is inactivity which is actually generating returns for you. and not what you are trying to do by churning portfolios or churning funds for that matter. Now, I would, though you touched upon it, but what I wish to ask you again, Kalpen, is that underperformance is a part of fund industry. However hard, good we may try, whatever best processes and frameworks we may be having, but underperformance at one point of time is bound to come. So how should an investor differentiate between good fund and a bad fund going through a cycle of underperformance?
I think very good question. And see, underperformance is not just part of investing, but it's part of life. So if all of us who have gone through our, school and college and post-graduation careers, we know that, there are years when we were maybe toppers, or there are years when we didn't do well, or there are times like, I was telling my 13-year-old son that in my entire career or entire educational journey, it was in the 8th standard that I failed for the first time. And that was such a huge awakening that uske baad, I realized कि क्या नहीं करूँगा so that I don't get a poor result like that. So failure is a part of life. Failure is a part of, or underperformance is a part of, every aspect. So today, if you like to read books and you buy 30 books, there will be a certain ratio of books which will not do well, and there will be many books which will, be good books. So we first of all accept that it is a part of the game. Don't deny it. It's a part of the game. Number one. Number two, there are perennial underperformers. There are temporary underperformers. So when you are, building a cricket team, or you are a part of a cricket team, during your growing up days, there are good players, there are bad players. So you need to be able to differentiate who are permanently bad players and who are temporarily going to bad form. So I always say that class is permanent, form is temporary. इन्वेस्टमेंट में हम उल्टा करते हैं, हम फॉर्म को ढूंढते हैं, क्लास को छोड़ देते हैं. हम ये देखते हैं कि पिछले 1 साल का फॉर्म किसका अच्छा है, उसमें ज्यादा पैसा लगाते हैं. हम लोग करते हैं, आप करते हो, इन्वेस्टर्स करते हैं. मैं मेरी खुद की कंपनी का एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ. मैं डीएसपी में 3 साल पहले ज्वाइन हुआ, and that was a time when small caps were booming and at its peak. And we have a very, very popular small cap fund. In those days, it was called DSP Micro Cap Fund. It had last 5-year return of 46% CAGR. So when I was joining, and we have a rule that all DSP employees put their personal money only in their fund. They cannot invest anywhere else. So I was withdrawing money from wherever else I was working, and I was asking all my colleagues कि मैं अपना ये पैसा DSP के कौन से fund में invest करूँ, because I was very new. I didn't really know at that point in time the nuances. And almost 85-90% of my colleagues told me, sir, अपना micro cap fund बहुत अच्छा है, उसमें आप डाल दीजिए. Of course, बहुत बढ़िया fund है, दुनिया का सबसे अच्छा micro cap fund rate हुआ था, but timing गलत था, क्योंकि वो अपने peak पे था. In fact, मेरे join होने के एक दिन बाद हमने उस fund में पैसा लेना बंद कर दिया. Now I could have got carried away and invested in that fund at its peak. But what did I do? I went back to the learnings I have had. I went back to the mistakes I have made. So I asked this question that show me the investment style of each fund manager. So I went through the style of each fund manager. I studied. So we have 3 diverse styles. We have growth style, we have quality at one style, and we have value at one style. And the fourth one is a mixture of all. My personality, and so you can pick and choose depending on what you as an investor prefer. So if I'm a vegetarian, I will prefer vegetarian thali. If I'm a non-vegetarian, I'll prefer a non-vegetarian. Then I'll decide who is the best chef. So my personality is quality and value. I don't chase growth. I am very clear. मुझे quality companies और value companies अच्छी लगती है, जो सस्ती, बहुत महंगी ना हो. अब वो पॉकेट में हमारा DSP equity fund उस टाइम पे फिट हो रहा था, लेकिन उसका 1 साल का रिटर्न माइक्रो कैप फंड के 1 साल के रिटर्न से आधा था. So no one wanted to recommend. No media was giving headlines that DSP's best fund is equity. They were saying DSP's best fund is micro cap. But what did I do? I chose the fund which was underperforming because its principles were good. Its principles were solid. 3 years into the future, from 2017 to today, that fund has given 3 times higher return than the micro cap fund, because the category of micro cap has gone through a slowdown because they were all very expensive. So I think be aware that you are buying into class, not form. Either you do the homework to analyze these things. इसके लिए जरूरी आप फंड मैनेजर की फिलॉसफी को पढ़िए, उसके इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टाइल को समझिए, फंड मैनेजर के प्रेफरेंसेस क्या है उसको समझिए. और इंडिया में 40 से 50 अच्छे फंड मैनेजर्स हैं. You may say that I like this style. This guy has done very well, but more than his style, this style is more suited to my personality. So let me choose that. Other way to do this is to have a trusted advisor. Because if you cannot do all of this, then go to an advisor. For example, right now I'm realizing the value of advisor. I'm realizing the role of good advice. My mother is unwell, she's in the hospital, and we are not medical experts. So when you want to know what is the line of treatment, what is the medicine to take, 5 people give 5 different answers. Finally, you choose the one who you have trust on. You choose the one who has been competent over market cycle. So I would say that, particularly because more relevant for your and my business, I always urge investors कि एक अच्छा advisor choose कीजिए. वो advisor अच्छा है कि नहीं उसके लिए एक checklist होना चाहिए. वो checklist के बाद आप decide कीजिए. इंडिया में बहुत सारे advisors हैं. अच्छा advisor, अगर अच्छा advisor है, वो वैसे ही ensure कर देगा कि वो आपको अच्छे fund select करके देता है. और selection process में differentiating between temporary form and permanent class is a very important ingredient. I think keep these things in mind. Good funds generally do very well over long periods of time. Good funds generally fall lesser than their other competitors. Good funds rise lesser than what is the flavor of the season. 4 महीने पहले तक वॉरेन बफेट अगेन दुनिया का सबसे सक्सेसफुल इन्वेस्टर, he was underperforming the वहाँ का निफ्टी, जो जैसे यहाँ निफ्टी है वहाँ पे S&P है. His portfolio for 10 years was underperforming Nifty, and people started saying that he has lost his touch. He is out of fashion. He is no more successful. His days are numbered. उम्र हो गई है. 3 महीने लगे for him to bounce back. जैसे 3 महीने में बाजार गिरा, his $108 billion, lying in safety, caught up, and he caught up on performance. So, understanding rules are very important, and I think that's the best way to choose how to select funds.
Very valid points, Kalpen, I must say. So that brings me to a very small questions again. Maybe I would have touched upon in the end, but since you have addressed it, how should an investor choose a good advisor?
Okay. I think the same way, the way you choose your, the way you choose your life partners, the way you choose your doctor, I think similar principles matter. One, it starts with time and judgment. It starts with track record and experience. मान लो मैंने शुरू किया 2 या 3 या 4 एडवाइजर के साथ, but over time, you realize किसके साथ मेरा comfort ज़्यादा है. Over time, you look for, where is the portfolio really, reflecting reasonable prudence and reasonable returns. But if I have to give you, rather than broad advice, if I have to give you binary bullet points, what would I look for? If I, when I look for an advisor, I look for an advisor who has skin in the game. I would look for an advisor जिसका फायदा है मेरे फायदे को. I would look for an advisor जिसका पैसा बनेगा अगर मेरा पैसा बनेगा, जिसका नुकसान होगा अगर मेरा नुकसान होगा. स्किन इन द गेम का मतलब ये है कि अपसाइड में भी पार्टिसिपेशन, डाउनसाइड में भी पार्टिसिपेशन. नॉर्मली अब हमारे धंधे में क्या होता है कि सबका अपसाइड में पार्टिसिपेशन ज्यादा होता है, डाउनसाइड में नहीं होता है, तो वो अनफेयर रिलेशनशिप हो जाता है. So I look for an advisor who has skin in the game. I look for an advisor who's seen multiple market cycles. I would ask an advisor कि भैया आपका रिटर्न बताओ, क्या आप अमीर हो या नहीं, क्या आपने इन्वेस्ट करके पैसा बनाया है कि नहीं. I have seen many advisors who are just agents and who themselves are very poor. So the first question to ask is, how do I trust that you will make me rich if you yourself are not rich? Number one, rich not in the sense of greed, but rich in the sense of right balance. I like an advisor who shows me what is the risk in investing, who teaches me the risk first and not the returns. Advisors who trigger greed do not generally succeed over time. I also look for advisors who have seen multiple market cycles and who know when can things go wrong. And I also ask advisors, आपका return मत दिखाइए, सिर्फ आपका portfolio क्या है ये भी बताइए. Are you recommending me the fund where you yourself are investing in? Are you putting your own money in the same fund or not? So these are the broad, simple principles that I follow. Like even when a lot of our large clients tell us कि हमको पैसा लगाना है, which fund manager of yours? So I tell them, ask the fund manager directly. How much of your wealth is in your fund? How much of your monthly salary is in your fund? So there are some of our fund managers who put 100% of their money in their own fund. There are some who put 50% in their fund, 50% they put in their colleagues' funds, saying that what if my style underperforms for some time. So these are questions to ask. Ask the right questions. Do a lot of homework in choosing an advisor, and advisors who add value to you, who teach you how to become good investors. See, there are two types of advisors. One who will show you returns. One who will show you how to make returns. I would go with the second type. One who constantly gives you knowledge, who gives you, advice. I'm not saying this because you invited me to the session today, Vikas, but I was very delighted knowing the topic you chose for today's session. It's not an easy topic. It's not the popular topic, but it's about the principles that matter, not the returns only that matter. So I think these are important things to look for in the whole journey.
Absolutely. And in fact, I have a very high regard for DSP in that matter, Kalpen, because, DSP actually believes and have asked its 400 employees to be investing into their own funds. Rather than, if we are managing this money for our investor, we should also be putting our money into it. And in fact, just
so
2
Vikas,
points.
we actually did that only around a year and a half back. And the whole idea was to tell ourselves, all of us, in fact, our board of directors played a very important role. They made a very important comment to me. They said that, see, all of you earn reasonable money. Financial services, you make more money than most other industries in life. So you should not be chasing returns by looking at alternative modes of investing elsewhere. कहीं भी अगर अच्छा रिटर्न दिखता है, it should be a part of your fund. और अगर तुम्हारा फंड अच्छा नहीं करेगा, if DSP mutual fund products don't do well, investors have a choice to go to other fund houses. You as advisors have a choice to go to other fund houses. We don't have that choice, and hence we will do whatever it takes to ensure that we earn the right type of returns for our investors.
Absolutely. And in fact, at our firm, since you have touched upon the advisor, we have a practice that, we recommend only those funds in which we actually put our own money. So
Absolutely.
Any investor can come up at any point of time and ask me that you recommended this fund to me, it is down 20%. What is the status? I just show them my own statement and tell them, hey, sir, if you have lost money, I'm also on the same board. Proportion could be different, but we are on the same board.
Absolutely.
So that brings a lot of, respect for each other in doing business.
Absolutely.
Great. So, Kalpen, something which I'm very passionate about DSP and you is that, you guys have completely set an investment framework in practice, and you very clearly communicate it and you share it with customers and advisors that, that you believe in rule-based investing. Each manager of yours, what kind of a principle and philosophies he believe in, it is well documented. So today, as an advisor, if I recommend your fund, the investor knows very well in a 2-paper that this is what the principles are, this is the way the fund is going to be managed, and this is the policy of that at that manager. So what is the whole reason of doing it? So I know that industry talk about processes, every fund house, every manager has their own process, but everything documented so well and communicated at the same time. What's the reason behind it?
So first of all, Vikas, thank you for asking the question. Most people don't ask the question because it is taken for granted कि process तो bare minimum है. Mutual fund है इतना बड़ा 25 साल से है, तो process तो होना ही चाहिए. और आपने ही आपके सवाल में थोड़े बहुत जवाब दे दिए. इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव यही है कि इन्वेस्टर को पता चले कि वो क्या खरीद रहा है, और अगर इन्वेस्टर को पता चलेगा वो क्या खरीद रहा है, कहाँ अपना हार्ड अर्न पैसा इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, that will bind him for a longer period of time with us. That will help us to know each other better. The investor's decision making will be far more solid than investing on just hearsay or looking at headlines कि ये फंड ने इतना रिटर्न दे दिया, because returns are an outcome of the process. So we want to, secondly, we also want to build transparency. This allows the investors to see what works at times, what does not work. In our documented investment processes that we have put on the website and which are publicly circulated time and again, we also highlight where we have gone wrong. We also highlight what have we learned from our mistakes and how we are trying to correct, because investing is not a binary game or a 0-1 game. It's a game of probabilities. Sometimes probabilities work for us, sometimes they don't work for us. Very transparent communication of these rules and principles conveys 2 things. First of all, rules matter. We come from that school of thought that however good we are as artists or as human beings or as fund managers, we also operate in a setup, in a framework. So we are guided by a boundary. And the role of rules is going back to what I said some time back. कि हम क्या नहीं करेंगे ये बहुत important है. जैसे चार्ली मगर ने बोला, tell me where will I die so I don't go there. When we design these rules, each fund manager also lists down what will he not buy. So those are the things that build more confidence, more trust, and most importantly, before even whether you and your investors start liking us or trusting us more, it holds us accountable to ourselves. Every time my rules are transparently out there, and if we are deviating, you can publicly tomorrow, question me saying, "साहब आपने तो ये बोला था, but आप ये कर रहे हो. आपने आपके होटल में एंटर किया, आपने बोला ये इटालियन खाना है, लेकिन आपने खाने में चाइनीज मिक्स कर दिया, तो ये अलाउड नहीं है." So the whole idea is transparency. The whole idea is to be accountable to ourselves and to hold accountability in front of you. And we are very grateful that you brought out this topic. It's something we are very passionate about.
Absolutely, and that brings a lot of respect among investors about you. And let me communicate it to you, because when we present some of the funds managed by your house, it gives them a lot of confidence that, of course, as far as the team is concerned, they are also putting money into it. Their advisors are also putting money into the same fund which has been recommended to them. But having the documentation and having the process in hand brings a lot of confidence in an investor's mind. So I
Thank you. It's
congratulate
very
you for that.
encouraging. Thank you.
And Kalpen, I just, I've heard the story from you maybe at least 2 or 3 times in some of the webinars that you have done, but I want you to share it with my investors also. It's a beautiful way of presenting things. The story which you talk about SIP, in which there is a farmer and there is Lord Shiva. If you could just share with us that.
So since you are not bored hearing it already 3 times, I'll try it again. See, one big learning I have had in my career, पैसा तब बनता है अच्छी तरह से जब आप मंदी में इन्वेस्ट करो. Let me also add that जब 4 या 5 साल पहले when the new government had come to power, political slogan was very attractive was अच्छे दिन आ गए, and on the basis of that अच्छे दिन, stock markets were booming and mutual fund NAVs were booming. And to me as an investor who is a middle class salaried investor who has money every month who want to invest, I used to feel कि मेरे लिए अच्छे दिन तब हो गए जब ये अच्छे कंपनीज के भाव ऊपर नहीं नीचे हो, क्योंकि अच्छे कंपनीज को बहुत महंगे में खरीद के रिटर्न ज्यादा नहीं बनता है. तो हमारे अच्छे दिन तब आते हैं जब बाजार के अच्छे दिन ना हो. Of course, we want the country to do well, and the government is doing everything to make the country far more robust and solid. But from an investing world point of view, you have to be contrarian. You have to, be strong in prices and actually look for prices. So my story is something on these lines, and this is a story which is not mine, but I've picked it up from a colleague who picked it up from the WhatsApp groups. And the story is about, India, where most people are farmers, and there was one particular year where it stopped raining. It was कुछ साल बारिश नहीं आई, बारिश बहुत कम. So all farmers were affected, and a group of 100 farmers goes to Lord Indra. So this is the story of SINT, Shiva, Indra, and Parvati. So all the 100 farmers, go to Lord Indra and say कि भगवान आप बारिश के भगवान हो, आपके बोले बिना बारिश नहीं होती है, तो आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है हमारे लिए प्लीज बारिश छोड़ दीजिए, तो हमारी खेती चलती रहे और हमारी लाइफ आगे बढ़े. Indra said that I'm not happy with all of you. Like most short-term investors, you come to me only in good times. You go away in bad times. So in your bad times, I'm not going to support you. So I'm upset. Please don't expect any help from me. But since you have all come so long, I can tell you, बाजू में शिव भगवान है. उनसे पूछ लीजिए अगर उनका मन हो तो उनके पास भी एक टेक्निक है बारिश करने. You can go there. So all these 100 farmers go there. And Shiv Bhagwan says that मेरा अभी vacation period है. I am also in lockdown. तो अगले 3-4 महीने तक I am not going to do anything. For it to rain, बारिश होने के लिए मुझे डमरू बजाने की जरूरत है. मेरी डमरू की आवाज सुन के बारिश अपने आप होती है. लेकिन अगले 3-4 महीने तक मैं वो नहीं करने वाला हूँ क्योंकि I am in resting mode. So I would urge you to come back after 3-4 months. So all these farmers go back. They go back very disappointed, seeing that 4 महीना अगर बारिश नहीं होगी तो हमारी फसल कैसे होगी, हमारे खेत खराब हो जाएंगे और इस पूरे साल का हमारा जो अनाज है वो उगेगा नहीं और हमें हमारी इनकम नहीं मिलेगी. तो ये सभी फार्मर भरोसा छोड़ देते हैं, अपना पूरा भरोसा जो है उनका छोड़ के, फार्मिंग को छोड़ के हर दिन फिर कुछ और करना शुरू कर देते हैं. They start wasting their time, start playing cards, some of them start drinking and all that. There is only one farmer who says कि मेरी हैसियत क्या है फार्मर, मैंने पूरी लाइफ क्या किया है फार्मिंग, मेरे नसीब में क्या है फार्मिंग, मैं बहुत ही सीरियस फार्मर हूँ, मैं और कुछ नहीं करूंगा, मेरी ड्यूटी और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है फार्मिंग. तो भगवान को जो करना है करे, मैं अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को नहीं छोड़ूंगा. मैं हर दिन सुबह अपने खेत में जाके अपने हल को लेके जितना कर सकता हूँ लिमिटेड कैपेसिटी से, आई विल डू दैट. आई विल हैव फेथ दैट सम डे गॉड विल वेक अप. And I will not have blind faith, but why am I doing this? So all his 99 farmer friends go and tell him कि भैया आप अपना टाइम क्यों बिगाड़ रहे हो, आपको पता है 4-5 महीने तक कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, तो 4 महीना आराम करो, 4 महीना इन्वेस्ट मत करो, SIP बंद कर दो 4 महीना, जब बाजार ऊपर जाएगा तब वापस शुरू करेंगे, जब बारिश आएगा तब फार्मिंग शुरू करेंगे. So this one farmer says that ऐसे नहीं होता है, क्योंकि 4 महीने तक अगर बारिश नहीं हुई और मैंने अपना फार्मिंग छोड़ दिया, मेरी प्रैक्टिस छूट जाएगी, मेरी प्रैक्टिस छूट जाएगी और जब बारिश होगा तब मैं फार्मिंग नहीं कर पाऊंगा और तब मेरे खेत में फायदा भी नहीं होगा, तो मैं अपना काम करते रहूंगा. अब ये कॉन्वर्सेशन सुन के पार्वती देवी को लगता है कि ये तो बहुत अच्छी बात बोली, इमीडिएटली ये स्टोरी सुन के वो शिव भगवान के पास जाती है और उनको बोलती है कि भगवान ये देखिए, ये फार्मर कितना प्रैक्टिकली सोच रहा है। अगर आपने 4 महीने तक डमरू बजाना बंद कर दिया, तो जब 5वें महीने में आप बजाने की कोशिश करोगे, आपकी प्रैक्टिस छूट जाएगी और शायद आपके प्रैक्टिस छूटने से बारिश नहीं होगी तो आपकी रिस्पेक्ट कम हो जाएगी। तो आप एक ध्यान रखिए कि प्रैक्टिस करते रहिए। तो शंकर भगवान बोलते हैं हाँ सही बात है, चलो मैं थोड़ी प्रैक्टिस कर लेता हूँ, और वो अपना डमरू बजा लेते हैं। और जैसे वो बजाते हैं बारिश होती है, और जैसे बारिश होती है वो एक फार्मर जो हर दिन अपने खेत में जाके अपने हल को चला के अपने बैल और इसको मेहनत कर रहा था, उसको उस बारिश का फायदा होता है, उसके खेत में फसल उगती है, जिसको काट के वो बेच के अपना धंधा आगे बढ़ा रहा है। और जो 90 फार्मर थे, 99 फार्मर्स जिन्होंने कुछ नहीं किया, उनको कोई फायदा नहीं होता है। तो ये एग्जाम्पल या ये जो स्टोरी है, ये बहुत ही ज्यादा तरह से कनेक्ट करती है इन्वेस्टिंग की रियलिटी से। इन्वेस्टिंग में जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, बाजार में 10 साल का अगर साइकिल हो, 3-4 साल ऐसे होते हैं जब बाजार में रिटर्न नहीं बनता है, जब बाजार के भाव बहुत नीचे होते हैं, एनएवीज नीचे होती है। मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ, 2008 की जो तेजी थी, एनएवीज 50% नीचे गिरी, फिर डबल हो गए और फिर 4 साल कहीं नहीं गई। तो कुल मिला के पूरे 5 साल, मतलब 60 महीनों के लिए एनएवी का रिटर्न 0 था। लेकिन जिस इन्वेस्टर ने हर महीने अपनी एसआईपी मेहनत के साथ की, फेथ के साथ की, डिसिप्लिन के साथ की, 5 साल में 60 एसआईपी के इंस्टॉलमेंट हुए। हर इंस्टॉलमेंट का रिटर्न मिनिमम 8%, मैक्सिमम 14%, एवरेज रिटर्न 13% और फ्रॉम दैट डे टिल टुडे। So even the worst installment which went on the highest price point, highest NAV, earned 8% because उतना टाइम दिया और मंदी में यूनिट्स एक्वायर किए। जितनी मंदी होती है ज्यादा यूनिट्स मिलते हैं। तो फार्मर से हमको यही सीखना है कि अगर लॉन्ग टर्म में ये एसेट क्लास पे भरोसा रखना चाहिए। ये एसेट क्लास बहुत सिंपल है। ये क्या बोलता है कि जो भी एफडी में मिलेगा उससे रफली 1.5 से 2 गुना मैं आपको दे दूंगा, लेकिन उसके लिए आपको मुझे 8 से 10 साल देने की जरूरत है। अगर आप मुझे टाइम दोगे तो मैं आपको एफडी से ज्यादा रिटर्न दूंगा। तेरा कुछ साल ऐसे होते हैं जब मेरा मूड खराब होता है, मेरी दुकान बंद होती है, मैं रिटर्न नहीं देता हूँ। अगर आप मुझे उस टाइम पे छोड़ दोगे तो अच्छे टाइम पे मैं आपको रिटर्न नहीं दूंगा। तो इन्वेस्टिंग में और हमारे बीच का जो रिलेशनशिप है वो इनवर्स होना चाहिए। जब बाजार नाराज हो तो हमें खुश होकर ज्यादा पैसा लगाना चाहिए, जब बाजार बहुत खुश हो तो हमें नाराज होकर कम पैसा लगाना चाहिए। उसको बोलते हैं एसेट एलोकेशन। तेजी में इक्विटी में नहीं, डेट में पैसा लगाइए, गोल्ड में लगाइए। जब बाजार में मंदी हो तब डेट और गोल्ड में कम लगा के इक्विटी में ज्यादा लगाइए। जिस एसेट क्लास का रिटर्न कम हो उसमें ज्यादा पैसा लगाइए, डिसिप्लिन रखिए, टाइम दीजिए, अपने आप रिटर्न बनेगा। सो दिस इज द स्टोरी ऑफ शिवा, इंद्रा एंड पार्वती। दिस इज द स्टोरी ऑफ सिस्टमैटिक इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान।
Beautiful. I must tell you, Kalpen, you have a very unconventional way of putting things across. I very well remember, in your last assignment, what you ended up doing was one idiot. An idiot also can make 100 crores, and that is something, we have put it across to so many millennial investors in our advisory practice, and it was so easy to convince them to be a part of it. Some of them are still continuing, and I pray and I hope that, they continue to do and get that 100 crores dream, which has been shown through one idiot. So
Vikas, as an extension of one idiot, what we have done very recently in the last couple of months is we have launched a concept called break the bias. I would urge you and all your investors to go through that. We realize that investing का जो communication का माध्यम है, हमारे जैसे लोग इसको बहुत ही बोरिंग तरह से कन्वे करते हैं, तो इन्वेस्टर्स भी परेशान हो जाते हैं कि तो वही डीसीपीटी, एसेट एलोकेशन, एसआईपी की बात है, मजा नहीं आ रहा है। तो हमने 2 यंग कॉमेडियंस जो स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी करते हैं उनके साथ बैठ के इन्वेस्टिंग के प्रिंसिपल, बिहेवियर के प्रिंसिपल, और मैं आपसे इसलिए बता रहा हूँ क्योंकि आपको बिहेवियर के कॉन्सेप्ट में इंटरेस्ट है, तो ये पूरे कॉन्सेप्ट का स्टोरी है कि बायस को कैसे तोड़े। इसको ह्यूमर के माध्यम से हमने कोशिश की है इन्वेस्टर को समझाने की। So I would urge you to have a look at it and give us feedback.
Sure, Kalpen, and I, in fact, will share it with our investors as well. We are almost coming to an end of this session, Kalpen, and the last question which I want you to answer for us is that past performance selection methodology is the biggest bias that we face among our investors. However hard we may try, but past performance is something that we have to convince and get over them. What should be done? I mean, past performance is the only methodology, or is there the right methodology to select a fund?
Performance is important, and to judge a fund or a fund manager or his execution, the past performer is an important barometer. It's like saying कि आपको अगर आज नई क्रिकेट टीम बिल्ड करनी है तो आप विराट कोहली है या रोहित शर्मा है या सचिन तेंदुलकर है, आप उनको क्या बेसिस पे लोगे? आप देखोगे उनका लंबा ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड क्या था और आप देखोगे इनकी टेक्निक क्या है। जब सिलेक्शन कमेटी मिलती है, वीडियो पे टेक्निक्स को देखती है, वो देखती है कि खराब पिचेस पे लोगों ने कैसे खेला था, बाउंसिंग पिचेस या बाउंसिंग बॉलर्स के सामने हमारे बैट्समैन कैसे खेलते हैं, वाइस वर्सा। तो हमारे हिसाब से इन्वेस्टर्स को फोकस करना और वो टेकअप टाइम में कैसे काम आती है ये देखना जरूरी है, और फिर उसका रिजल्ट बनता है कि नहीं। आप कितने भी अच्छे बैट्समैन हो, आपकी टेक्निक बहुत अच्छी है, लेकिन अगर आप रन नहीं बनाओगे तो वो भी आपको काम नहीं करेगा। सो आई वुड से दैट परफॉर्मेंस मैटर करता है, इग्नोर मत कीजिए, बट लेट इट बी 1/3 ऑफ द पैरामीटर ऑफ डिसीजन मेकिंग। द अदर 2/3 शुड बी हाउ इज द फंड डूइंग इन बैड मार्केट्स, नॉट इन गुड मार्केट्स। ये देखिए कि पिछले 20 साल में अगर 4 मंदी आई थी तो चारों मंदी में कौन से फंड से नहीं किया, रिलेटिवली अच्छा परफॉर्म किया। सो टेक्निक को देखिए, टेक्निक है फिलोसफी और प्रिंसिपल्स और प्रोसेस। लेकिन ये मेरे हिसाब से विकास, हम कितनी भी बातें कर ले, 100 में से सिर्फ 5 इन्वेस्टर इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं ये सब समझ things in life to do. And rightly so, because you are more interested in earning money from your business, income, salary. But अगर सीरियस इन्वेस्टर बनना है, अगर लॉन्ग लास्टिंग इन्वेस्टर बनना है, तो इन चीजों पे थोड़ा ध्यान दोगे तो आपको फायदा होगा। प्रोसेस को देखिए, फिलोसफी को देखिए, और क्या फंड बहुत जरूरी है। अपने पोर्टफोलियो में मिक्स और मैच कर सकते हो। किसी फंड ने बोला मैं ग्रोथ फंड हूँ, लेकिन ग्रोथ के बजाय अगर पब्लिक सेक्टर स्टॉक उसमें ज्यादा है, तो आप बोल सकते हो कि आपने ग्रोथ बोला लेकिन आपका पोर्टफोलियो कुछ और दिखा रहा है। आज हम पूरी दुनिया को बोलते हैं कि हमारे फंड में एक्सीडेंट्स नहीं होंगे, लेकिन अगर हमने कोई जंक स्टॉक ले लिया, यू हैव ऑल द राइट टू देन अंडरस्टैंड एंड क्वेश्चन दैट ओके इज दिस अ क्रेडिबल फंड मैनेजर और नॉट। सो लुक फॉर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल टाइम होराइजन, लुक फॉर फिलोसफी क्या है, अप्रोच क्या है, ऑनेस्टी क्या है, नियत क्या है। नियत जानना बहुत जरूरी है। किसी की नियत है कि मुझे हर दिन पैसा उठाना है कस्टमर के वॉलेट में से। कुछ फंड्स हैं जो बोलते हैं कि हम पेशेंट हैं, हम यहाँ नेक्स्ट 50 साल के लिए है, अगर आज का दिन सही नहीं है इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए तो कोई नहीं है, एनवायरनमेंट है वो सही नहीं है हमारे और आपके लिए। तो ये जजमेंट लेना बहुत जरूरी है। बहुत कम लोगों के पास टाइम होता है ये जजमेंट लेना, और इसीलिए आप but we are happy to work on how to analyze past performance and how to look for fund selection. We will try and make some commentary or document on that and share it with you.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Kalpen, for spending this afternoon with us. It has been genuinely a very insightful session and a very different session than what we keep doing it with our investor, where markets, strategies, debt, everything gets discussed, and that is more about enlightening them on their journey of wealth creation. I would say this probably is required, to have right behavior towards that journey of wealth creation. So I thank you a lot for it. I just wish to end this session with one of your tweet, which I read maybe some 4-5 months back. I don't remember exactly that date, but yes, this was one of your tweet in which you said that when you chase return, all you get is risk. When you manage risk, we end up getting returns. So possibly we need to learn to manage risk, then chasing return. Thank you so much for being a part of this session.
Thank you and all the best to you and to all your.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Mansi.